We're going to talk about a totally different bill with Representative Miller. Your bill, HB 325, the Transparency in Policing Act, which deals with establishing guidelines for police body cameras.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Thanks for having me, Donna, and thanks for asking about this bill. HB 325 is a bill that's co-sponsored by myself, a former prosecutor, Representative Scott Holcomb, also a former prosecutor, and Representative Yasmin Neal, a former police officer. The bill would simply require uniformed officers to wear a body camera every time they interact with the public. It's sort of a universal body camera bill. The bill would also require that officers who intentionally tamper with, destroy, or interfere with the recording of that video be potentially charged with a crime. And it does also require that certain notification provisions be enforced when a citizen's loved one is killed and it is depicted on video, that video would have to be shown to the family within 24 hours. Of course, this bill is not the first bill in the House. We have been talking about transparency in policing for some years now. I think it becomes more evident to us when we see instances in the public space where unfortunate use of force incidents happen and there is no body camera footage. I think that creates a lot of mistrust between law enforcement and the community, which we hope this bill, if it is passed, will help us to mend that. We know that when law enforcement does not have the badge of legitimacy with the public, when the public does not believe that law enforcement is there treating those communities with dignity, it makes us all less safe. It makes law enforcement officers less safe, and of course it makes our communities less safe.
I'm curious, has there been regulation over body cameras up until now? Is there a law dealing with it, or we hear about local jurisdictions, but statewide?
Right. No, there isn't. Short answer. All law enforcement agencies right now are sort of, free to use body cameras or not use body cameras. We don't have a clear sense of how many law enforcement agencies do not have body camera policies. We know that in most of the metro departments there is some form of body camera policy. We would hope that this bill would require all local law enforcement agencies to have body camera policies in place and usage in place. And the hope would be that we would find a way to fund this purchase for law enforcement. These body cameras protect police officers just as much as they protect citizens. There's so much technology that can be leveraged in the community. Most of the body camera footage, to be quite frank, is utilized by prosecutors against suspects because it will often depict sort of what happens during an arrest. So there really is no good reason not to do it. I think that if our communities, law enforcement, want to make sure that we sort of reestablish trust in communities where trust has been broken and build trust in communities where trust has never been, we have got to start showing people that we're serious about transparency, and that's what this bill would do.
You brought up the idea of money, and that's one of the reasons, especially with the smaller jurisdictions, being able to afford this kind of thing. It can be expensive.
It can be expensive, but this is what I say to that. We have a $6 billion surplus in our budget. I do not understand why we would not, in a bipartisan sort of way, want to use some of that money to assist smaller jurisdictions who will need help funding a body camera implementation. But also, Donna, the feds offer significant grants to law enforcement agencies. And in fact, that application process is going to start really soon, where they will give financial support to law enforcement agencies who do not have the finances to implement these policies, because it is so important to policing not only in the state of Georgia but nationwide.
And the only other thing I wanted to ask you about is the state troopers. We just recently learned that they don't necessarily have the body cameras, and that would be something the state would have to finance.
That is correct, Donna. And we learned that, some of us know that who have worked in the criminal justice space. The state troopers often interact with citizens in front of their vehicles, so they have utilized and relied on dash camera footage. But as we saw in the, the Cop City, I hate to use that that expression, but the Cop City incident, we had troopers who were not fitted with body cameras, and unfortunately there is no footage of the shooting that happened, and it has left some questions in certain segments of our community that I think could easily be answered if every police officer interacting with a citizen has a body camera.
Okay, so we'll see how that bill goes. I want to get back to you on yours.